Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chela Time, where four friends talk about their thoughts with a drink in hand. My name is Diego.
Hey guys, I'm Cesar.
Hey everybody, this is Joel.
And I'm Peter.
Oh, what are y'all drinking tonight?
I am drinking
Ultra.
just a note. No, I'm kidding. On my birthday, Pedro and Caesar got me Smirnoffs, and so from those I made myself an orange juice drink.
Which is basically just a screwdriver with more orange juice.
Yeah, I don't know what a screwdriver is.
Yeah, what the fuck is
It's
it?
the orange. It's the orange that you're drinking there, friend.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
well,
drinking
apparently
the-
I'm drinking a screwdriver.
Yes, sir. I'm just having Coke. I'm a
Pussy.
little bitch today.
How many lines?
Like a line of Coke.
Like a
we'll have
fucking,
fun.
if that's the case, never mind. That's a great line. Shit.
We don't do drugs here at Chilla Time.
I
Well,
got that Scarface
only
whole
alcohol.
pile.
unless we have enough for everyone, okay?
Oh. Shit, my bad, G's.
So Caesar says that, and that's a fucking lie.
You've never shared with me, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just sipping.
I think we're all in like a pretty damn good mood. We've all been kind of just sipping at our drinks for a while before
For
starting.
a minute.
So
'Cause we
yeah.
we initially thought we were gonna start this about 3 hours ago? Not even like 4 hours ago.
It took us, guys, just so you guys know at home what we go through. We went through like 2 hours of sound testing. And
I
keep in
love
mind, we're four dumbasses, so we distract ourselves every other 5 minutes. So
yeah, that
it takes
actually
quite
is
some time.
that's a
Yeah,
good
but
topic about
Caesar
how
wanted
we
to go to a
actually-
fucking party.
I know we were all ready. All three of us were ready,
Listen.
and then Caesar's like, "No, I have to go to my cousin's house." I'm like, "Nah."
Listen. It was worth it because my cousin didn't tell me why she wanted me to show up, but the news when I got there was like, okay, this is worth it. I found out one of my family members finally turned into a U.S. citizenship, like in a
Hey.
Oh, damn!
So
that's
I was
fucking
like,
sick.
you know what? That's
It's always
okay.
good to hear.
This
That's
always
fucking
totally
sick.
Caesar,
Yeah. What's
I
up?
I was about to say that someone was pregnant. So
Same here. Yeah.
They invited you over to tell you that you were pregnant.
Oh my
Plot
god,
twist.
Jesus Christ! No, I found that out. Then I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. You know, I'm like, I felt good, and I was like, all right, it's worth it. It's worth to be a little late.
So
And
now,
I'm like, I knew you guys would understand too. So I'm like, it's worth it.
so you can take
Yeah,
them to
that's
Mexico.
awesome.
Easy peasy.
Well, this guy, he was already a resident, so he would go back and forth.
Oh, okay. For sure. For sure.
But like, you know, you still got to make it official. You can't just stay a resident all the time. Resident.
was it like one of your uncles?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
one of my
already-
uncles is a resident too, but he's been living here for like the past 25 years, dude, and he's just like, nah, I don't want to become a citizen. And I'm like, why? It's like you'll get access to so many other things, and he's like, yeah. He's like, but I don't want to take a test.
Bro.
He's like, you know what? Fuck that.
It's like 25 years. It's like that's a pretty good part of history. Either way, it's not like they're gonna ask him about the fucking Twin Towers or anything.
Dude, why is it that that is like why is it that my brain went to that too? Like I immediately
Right.
thought, oh, 9/11.
Yeah, I mean it's the event that's like defined a generation, dude. So it's
Yeah,
hard
but,
to not think of fucking 9/11.
Some of the trivia is pretty retarded, though. I'm not even gonna lie. Like some of the trivia that they ask you, it's like, where was the first McDonald's made?
It's not trivia,
Bullshit, dude.
dog.
It kind of is
That's
trivia. It kind of
That's
is.
a weird way to describe it, though.
It's not like random fucking knowledge, you know. It's
Yeah.
like it pissed me off so much. Like you guys remember our junior year we had to take our civics exam?
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't understand how people were actually tripping out about the civics exam. It's like, what the fuck have you been like
Common
on?
knowledge,
Like
bro.
we had history in 7th and 8th grade. We had world history in 9th grade. And you also had US history in 10th grade. It's like, and you also live in the United States. It's like, how do you worry about the US history? It's like it was taught to you, and some people were like, "Oh my god, I got to study for my civics exam." And I'm like, the fuck you doing? What the fuck were you doing for 4 years straight? Not paying attention?
Dicking about, honestly.
Yeah.
Shit.
Like I know some people who are like, on the topic of citizenship that are straight up fucking citizens, and they don't know jack shit about the United States. And I know some people who aren't, and they're immigrants and did their civics exam whilst in junior year, and they fucking got hundreds%. So I'm like, could we just like shift citizenship? Because I feel like
Some people don't deserve it.
some people don't deserve it. It's like you got to do your due diligence even for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's why I was late.
that's all. That's it's a good observation because that immediately makes me think of my grandparents, who, like, they would read obviously translated books, but like, I distinctly remember my grandparents having a book. I think it was Bill Clinton's autobiography, and
Mhm.
like that was just one example of how they kept up with like the times here in America. It's like obviously they're living here. They've been living here for the past, God, like 40 years. So obviously, they're, and knowing that they wanted to become citizens, pretty quickly, they they know more than I do about, those administrations and like the government of that
Yeah,
time. And it's like, it's awesome.
but in a sense, it's kind of retarded because uh, you're the people who undergo this process. Uh, they have to go through more obstacles and more loops than a person who just happens to be born on U.S. soil. It's like
Oh yeah, it's
these
bullshit.
these people, I guess, would be more patriotic than someone actually who fucking was born and raised in the United States. Now, that's not to say everybody, but there are some people who are born here and then they're like, "Viva Mexico, cabrones!" And I'm like, "Wait, what the hell? What the hell, dog? You never even stepped foot in Mexico."
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but the heritage is still there.
Yeah, but you also got to represent the U.S.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a distinction, not a distinction. There's a, like, people get caught up in like what patriotism is and nationalism is,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think people intertwine the two all the time.
yeah. Nationalism, it's a little more on the spectrum of like extremism, where
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like patriotism is like oh cool, I celebrate the 4th of July. You respect it, but nationalism is like, I will fucking die for this.
Yeah, like you'll die for the flag, and
Yeah,
all these, like, people like I see, like, we all see it all the time online, especially with the goddamn Trump administration in power right now, the fucking stupid ass regime. Fuck them, fuck Trump. But you'll see people like, oh, like these people are extremely patriotic. It's like, no, like I would say I'm patriotic, but I'm not nationalistic. Like
yeah.
I don't, I wouldn't die for the flag, but
No,
I still respect that I live here.
and it's funny because if you I watched this one video um on YouTube. And no, it's not a point to reference. Like, you can't do your research by go to watch a video, but it's a place where ideas begin. And so when I watched this YouTube video, they were making the points about how nationalism now is actually uh very reminiscent, and it's reflecting a little bit of fascism back in Germany with like the Hitler's uprising and everything. Like, there's very
Yeah,
similar emulates. Like,
yeah.
there's an exclusive group of people who should have rights to this. We should exclude X and X people because they aren't naturals, and it's almost like, in the sense like, oh, these immigrants can't be here because XXX. Well, that's the same argument that they were doing with the Jews. It's like, it even got to the point where it's like they were no longer even Jewish, but they looked Jewish. And we go to the topic here where it's like someone who looks brown, even though they're from the U.S., it's like, oh, well, they look Mexican, or they look Muslim, or they look like from the Middle East, and we need to exclude that. That's fascist. That's not patriotism. That's fascism.
I know. Yeah, and it's funny how you see that thrown around, and I feel like people throw it around all the time, but I mean, me, like, obviously maybe us here in our group of four and like a handful of other people understand truly what that is, but the general public, they just hear fascism and they think Nazi Germany. They think, the Cold War era Russians and stuff, and they just think
Yeah,
bad. It's like, but if they were to explain it, they would realize that it's like, well, it's actually the people that are saying that like another group is fascist that are the real fascists, and it's just the news just doesn't do a good job of conveying like the real terms correctly.
Yeah, it's like the definition that they've given us isn't the definition, but it's more imagery, or they attached certain eras to the definition of fascism. So, which is why when we hear fascism, we hear, oh, it's the Soviet Union. Oh shit, it's fucking Nazi Germany. But Nazi Germany wasn't the only fascist regime in history. So it's like there's different. There, Nazi Germany is a very extreme case of
Oh
fascism,
yeah, absolutely.
but that's not to say that there are very other light cases of fascism that even exist today in modern history.
Yeah, but I think it's just people that don't want to put the term fascism on there because then it becomes extreme just because it's the word. But it's like no, that's not the case.
Oh yeah,
The moral of the story is just be proud of where you're from and your heritage.
That fucking escalated very fucking quickly. What
yeah.
the fuck,
You
man?
gotta
We
represent.
gotta inform the people.
Yeah,
This is not
no,
a political podcast.
we're sorry. Yeah, I was about to say that, Pedro. I was like, it just happened to spiral into just very briefly to a little bit of a political science podcast. We are not that though. We are here to have fun and potentially get a little bit wasted as we speak to you guys.
We went from trying to explain the process of like what we do before the podcast to why I was late to
To
talking
fascism.
about fascism, talking about Nazi Germany. I'm like, holy shit, man.
You brought up the term. You brought up the topic of citizenship. All right, it's your fault, Caesar.
You fucking triggered us, dog.
I was like, fuck, what have I done?
It's like
man?
fucking Bucky from
The
From
Winter's
Avengers.
from the Marvel universe. As soon as they hear a code sequence, we just go ape shit.
Sleeper agents.
Oh, citizen, I'm about to fuck you up, dude.
About to lecture your ass.
Starts decking everybody.
Anyways, on the term of fucking people up, Pedro has a story of him, which I haven't heard. I don't know if you guys have heard
He's
from
been
Pedro.
hyping it up.
Yeah, he's been really
Yeah.
hyping it up, and I really want to hear it, and I also want him to share it now with all of us. What the fuck happened to you?
So, okay, just to give a bit of a backstory, right? Thursday of last week, I believe, I woke up getting ready for my shift at work. I work from home at 5 a.m. and I woke up to an extreme pain in my balls.
Oh shit!
And it was so listen,
I knew it. I fucking knew
listen, boys. Listen.
good.
So I got a sharp pain in my balls, and keep in mind I put in a good hour's worth of work because I was like, okay, maybe this will pass through. Maybe I just slept wrong. Maybe my balls upside down or something. Who
Your
knows?
balls shouldn't hurt, Pedro.
It's fucking twisted.
We'll get to that. So
Oh no,
around 6:45, I just messaged my boss. I was like, hey, I'm out.
balls hurt.
I'm going to the ER.
My testicles
out.
hurt.
My balls hurt. And then I told my mom, and keep in mind, everyone in my house doesn't wake up till like 9 or so. So I wake up my mom at 6:45. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to the ER. She's like, why? And I'm just like, my balls
Duelen
hurt.
los huevos.
Yeah, all like really awkwardly. And this is gonna be a recurring segment during this story. I'm embarrassed as hell because I've never. This is just a weird situation for me. So I'm just like, mi duelos mis huevos. Mi duelen mis huevos. And she's just like, she gives up on me, right? She fucking gives up. She's like, okay, fine. Let me know what goes down. So I drive myself to the ER. I drive myself to St. Joseph's.
Pedro.
What's up?
So, like, just real quick, you know how Mexican moms like say, "Oh, just put Vaporu on it." Could you imagine putting Vaporu on your balls?
Dude, I was so tempted to put Tiger Balm on my balls, dude. I was like, but that's just gonna make things worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
To describe the pain, I say sharp pain. It's as if someone punched me in the balls, and you know, like that first stage of when you get hit in the balls is just aching down there,
Yeah,
and then it goes up to your stomach.
yeah.
Imagine that, but the entire time.
Oh my
Ouch.
god.
Okay.
Jesus, man.
So
So it was like an infinite ball kick. It was,
yeah, exactly. If I had to describe it, someone kicked me in the balls, and so, and it's just the right one, by the way. It's just the right one. So that's what led me to believe, okay, it's either upside down, twisted, or I jerked it too hard and something's happened. You know what I'm saying? And so I
Sure.
drive, I, I drive to the
I
hospital. I drive to the hospital, and immediately, like once I'm there, they have me waiting because there's a few people ahead of me, and I'm just chilling there. And then I get up to the front desk, and they've already made like a big hullabaloo, like, "Oh, like, have you had COVID, and have you had anyone close to you have COVID in the past 14 days?" I was like, "No, we're all chilling." And then she's like, "Okay, baby, what's the problem?" It was an old black lady. I was like, "Sure, what's wrong?" And I lean forward in the desk. I have my mask on and everything. I lean forward in the desk and I whisper, "My right testicle hurts." And she's like, "I'm sorry, what was that?" And I was like, My right testicle hurts." And she's like, "Okay." And she gets my information, and then the nurses take my vitals, and it's this one dude and another and a lady, and they didn't hear what I just told the lady. They didn't hear what I just told the front desk woman, and so I had to explain. I had to explain it again. Um, so my right testicle hurts, and they're like, "Okay, cool, sit down." And they took my vitals. It was all fine, and they explained to me, they asked me like, "Oh, like, did you do anything?" And I was like, "Nope, I just woke up and it started hurting." And they're like, "Okay, cool." Well, and then of course they walk me into a room. I wait in the room, and
In pain.
in pain this entire time. I'm in excruciating pain.
holding my nut.
Oh no, I didn't want to make it obvious because again, I'm so embarrassed. So I'm trying my hardest to walk like normal, but deep down I want to crawl. Like it's so bad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was really bad. And I'm in the room, and a lady walks in, and she's like, "Okay, so yeah, tell me what's the problem." And I was like, "Well, it feels like someone kicked me in the balls like this morning, and it's not going away." And she's like, "Oh, did you sleep on your side, or what was your sleeping position?" And she laid me on the bed. I give her my sleep. I do the Superman, right? Like, one arm going extended.
The
Uh,
fuck, man.
yeah. And she's like, "Okay, fine. Okay, let's check it out. Pull down your pants." And
Let's go.
See that nut.
and another thing, she has
Whip
an
out your
assistant.
dick.
She has an assistant who's like learning from her at the time, like almost like a trainee, and so she's taking notes on all this. And then I'm surprised, and by all means, anyone who's in the medical field may say otherwise. I've only had, like, when it comes to medical reasons, I've only had my balls touched by a man. And so it caught me very off guard that she was the one who was going to do it, but I was like, you know what, whatever, it's fine.
He came with them soft hands.
I told myself, this is not the time to get a boner. This is not the time to get a boner.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, she checks it out, and she says a whole bunch of big words that I can't comprehend at 7 in the morning. But she was like, "Oh, she basically, yeah, like I said, she said a bunch of big words that I cannot repeat.
She said you were packing.
She said you were hung, boy." And so they leave, and she's like, "Okay, I'll be right back. I'll give you a shot for nausea because I wanted to throw up, and I'll give you a shot for the pain."
And
That didn't happen. No, like in the arm. They give me the shots on the arm, but not yet.
Oh.
So after this, she tells me, "Okay, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a CAT scan, and we're also gonna do an ultrasound. CAT scan to find if there's any
Oh yeah.
testicular
What if you were
cancer."
just pregnant? Like that was it.
Oh no, I absolutely
It's in his ball testicle.
the baby's growing in there. No, so this entire time they're rolling me in a wheelchair, and again I feel extremely embarrassed, and I kind of like, obviously I know I shouldn't feel embarrassed because this is what they do, but the entire time they're strolling me around, I feel like I'm on display because I see like every other person like looking at me, and I'm just like I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
Pedro. I remember I was hopped up on morphine when I got my appendix removed,
mhm.
and I was in a wheelchair, and I just felt like everybody was staring at me. So I know how you feel.
Exactly. And I tried to look around, and I'm under a mask, right? But in the mask, I'm like smiling hysterically because I laugh when I'm uncomfortable. So like if they were to remove the mask, it would have been even more weirder. But yeah, they put me in the CAT scan and they fucking do what they need to do. And they're okay, we'll have the test results in about an hour. And of course, after they do the CAT scan, they take me to the ultrasound. This is where the fun comes in. So there's, I forgot
Damn
his name.
right.
I forgot his name, right? But it was a much older Latino gentleman, and he doesn't say a word to me. Right when he first picks me up, he doesn't say a word to me. He just points to the chair and tells me to sit on it, and points me to sit on it. Right, and I sit on the chair, and he strolls me over to the ultrasound. Before I sit down, I said, "Oh, I can walk if that's cool," because I know that he's gonna have to stroll me. He's like, "No, it's you're gonna want to sit down."
Oh my
Sure,
god.
sure enough, yeah, he walks across the entire hospital, and I was like, I appreciate him for strolling me around. So at this point, I know how an ultrasound goes. They put the jelly, and they put a sensor on there. But I tried to stay as professional as possible, right? And he's
Oh
and he's
yeah.
and he's as professional as possible as well. Kudos to him. And so he advises me, okay, lay down on this bed. I'm gonna put this blanket over you, and you're gonna pull your pants down under your knees. And I say, okay. Do you want me to do that right now? Yes. Okay. So I do that. And he's like, hold your dick. I was like, wait, what? He's like, hold your dick. And lift it up to your belly. I was like, oh, okay,
Wait,
for
he
sure.
said hold your dick.
Hold my dick. He said, hold your dick.
In those exact words.
Yes. He said, so
Awesome.
I'm telling you.
Jesus
And I
Christ.
was like, and we're already, I can tell he's a chill guy. And I'm extremely embarrassed. I'm really like awkward at this point. He's like, I'm going to put this jelly on you, okay? And I was like, cool beans. The second that jelly hit my balls, it's this extremely cold lubricant. I burst laughing. I'm hysterically dying
Oh,
on this fucking bed.
I honestly thought you were gonna say something else. You're like, I fucking just came out of excitement.
I know, I repainted those walls. No, the second it hit my balls, I was laughing hysterically, and he was laughing too. He was like, "I know, I'm sorry. Like, it's all good, buddy." And I
Here
was like,
comes the fun part.
yes, here comes the fun part, because then he gets a towel and he's like, "Put this under your nuts."
And he squeezes real hard.
No, and I do my best.
Ah.
No, I do my best to put it between my legs and under my nuts, because again, he won't let me. The bed doesn't allow me to full spread eagle extend. So
Right.
my legs are close together, and I have to put it under my balls. So I just do my best. He's like, "Here, I got you."
Oh my god.
and
Yo,
and
he's a straight up Chad, dude.
he rolls the towel up in a roll,
It's a chungus.
and he shoves it like really close to my ass. Like legit, I feel like he's gonna stick it in my ass. And then at this point, I was again laughing hysterically. He's like, "I won't tell anyone if you don't." I was like, "For sure, player."
Wait,
Oh
what?
my god.
Whoa, what? What?
Yeah, He was fine. He was chill. I know he was joking, but I thought it was hilarious. And then sure enough, he's like, "You ready to see your twins?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah." And then sure enough, I see, like every pregnant woman experiences, I get to see my babies in the form of my testicles. And sure enough, he was like, "Yeah, look, they're symmetrical in this way and this way. Do you see this? This is the cord." Um,
Your
that
vast deference?
Yeah, he's explaining like everything I'm seeing. I'm like, "Oh, nuts!" And like he puts a monitor towards me, and like legit, I wish someone came with me so I can have that experience of like looking over, like, this is our kid. Like, look at this. But
You should have posted on Instagram. It's a boy.
yeah,
It's two boys, it's twins.
Have a gender reveal party and then create another wildfire.
exactly, in Arizona. My lord. But yeah, after that, he types in some numbers, and I'm just amazed that I get to see my testicles. And yeah, after that, he squirts on more jelly. This isn't as shocking as the first squirt, so it's fine. But then we're all done with that, and he's like, "All right, pull up your pants." And I was like, Can I use can I get like a paper towel? Because of course I'm covered in jelly." He's like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And he just tells me to use the towel that was up my ass. And so I used that towel. However, I don't know how to act because he was still in the room. So I couldn't, get up and really clean myself. So I kind of had to clean myself laying down, like I just got cream pied, and
Good lord. Good lord.
and so and
Why,
so
why'd you have to say it like that?
because that's the first thing that came to my mind. That's the first thing, because whenever you cream pie somebody,
Fuck
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
hold on.
Pedro,
what's
you were
up?
like, yo, dog, I told you not to finish in my ass.
Bro, you came in my ass.
Oh my god.
But
What the
so
fuck?
let me finish. Let me finish. So I'm under the blanket trying my hardest not to like reveal myself, even though he's already seen more than enough. Um, and I keep in mind, like, the blanket was already like, you know how like when you're in bed and the blanket's like not neatly made, and you're just struggling to find like the right part of the blanket to like lay under. Same situation. So I was a mess down there, and even when I was like done, I still had like the jelly like on my shirt, on my pants, and I was like, cool, yeah, fuck it, it is
You
what it is.
slut.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the walk of shame, right? And then, sure enough, I get to wash my hands, and then I'm back on the seat, and then they sit me down, and and he rolls me over to a lobby, where, like, there's a bunch of patients in like kind of in a row in their own little sections, like after surgery almost. And I'm sitting there, and there's this old lady like in the front desk, and I'm watching Family Feud, and I'm enjoying Family Feud. Um, I got really into it for some reason. And then this lady comes by, and she just takes me, saying not a single word. She just takes me, and I
Just
was like,
steals
oh,
you
oh.
away.
Yeah. She I had no idea where I was going. I was like, okay, I thought it was done. Like, I thought that was it. But yeah, she just takes me away, and she leads me to the waiting room. And in the waiting room, at this point, my phone had just died. So at this point, it was around 9 o'clock, and my phone has just died. So I'm stuck there watching this really awful show about flipping antiques. Like, people will buy antiques from
Oh,
random
is
people.
it? Is
Oh
it? Is it the
yeah.
two guys? Is it American
There's
Pickers?
yes, it was American
That show's
Pickers.
so good. It's so good.
It was very interesting. It definitely kept me entertained. And I was just watching that, and I was like, this is fine. They had a marathon. It was cool. And sure enough, one of the nurses takes me in. She's like, okay, I just need to do some blood work. I was like, cool beans. And this girl, I'm sure she did fine. And later on, it turned out that she did do fine taking my blood. But I'm just I'm a very paranoid person. So when she was taking the blood, I didn't mind that, right? It was whatever. It's no biggie to me. However, when she pulls out like the actual syringe, the needle doesn't come out. And I freaked out because she already bandaged it up. And I was like, okay, I hope the needle is not inside me because I'm going to freak.
Oh
And
my
sure enough,
goodness.
I play it off like it was nothing. I was like, cool, it's whatever. And I, like, of course, I like try to move my arm as frantically as possible to see if I can feel the needle. Nothing's there. But then I take the bandage off, and I feel an extremely hard tube, which I later found out was my vein. But at the time, I was freaking out because I was like, is the fucking needle inside me? So one of the other nurses like was just in there, and I kind of asked her, I was like, hey, is this normal? She's like, yeah, it's normal. That's no problem. I was like, okay, cool. Mini panic attack of the day. And then that another nurse comes by, and she asked me, oh, just for, some tests that we need to run to see if there's any, cancer or anything of the sort. We need a urine sample. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I've been needing to pee all morning. So sure enough, easy peasy, I filled the cup to the brim, and I'm like, here you go. And an hour goes by. A whole hour, guys. A whole hour goes by, and she
So,
comes into the room. What's up?
so at this point, it's about 7 in the morning when you decide to drive over, right?
Yes.
So it's 7 in the morning. You get there. You have to wait through the whole thing. You fill out papers, all that good stuff. So and if you've waited an hour, you've been there for about what, 3 hours?
2 hours, 3 hours at this point. Yes, it was 9 when they put him in the waiting room. It was about 10 at this point of the story. Yes,
Good lord.
yeah, I spent a whole day there. But like I was saying, a whole hour passed by, and she's at the she. Okay, normally when they call you from the waiting room, they walk in and they're like, Pedro or whoever the patient is, and you follow them wherever they lead you.
Right.
This lady said, Pedro, concerning as hell. And she's standing at the door and she's shaking her head and she looks so concerned. And I was like, dude.
Oh my god.
At this point, my heart sank and I'm just walking to the door. And she's like, I am so sorry. And at this point, I'm like, stop. Let me call my mom. So she can, like, I was like, stop. Let me call my mom. I want to make sure I have emotional support for this. Because if you're going to tell me I'm dying or you got to cut my nuts off, I need to process this. She's like, she tells me, I'm so sorry. I lost your urine sample. And at this point, I'm freaking out. How the fuck did you lose my urine sample?
She drank it.
No, Caesar, I would have rather.
Too. I was like, she fucking took it.
Caesar, I would have rather her drink it, but the explanation she gave me was I didn't label it. And at this point, I was like, lady, my balls are in your hands, metaphorically. Like, you need to don't tell me you mislabeled my urine.
She didn't lose it. She probably just like took it and put it in a batch with a whole bunch of unlabeled stuff, and she just probably didn't want to assume which one was your urine, because that would lead to fake positives or fake negatives. So she's like, you know what? I'll just ask this nigga to pull his dick out again.
False negatives.
Pedro,
Okay.
some
exist.
other
They exist.
patient was like, just like they give him back the urine sample. Was like, oh, you're the one who's their balls was hurting, right? No, what the fuck?
He's like, no, this is just a physical, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. But at this point, yeah, I did my best to not seem annoyed. I was already kind of like ticked off because again, they haven't given me my shot yet for the pain, so I'm still aching. And I've been here for 3 hours at this point. So I'm just like, okay, cool. I'll give you another urine sample. And sure enough, I already emptied the tank with the first shot. So now I got to like, really muster up the courage to pee a little bit. And sure enough, like I literally gave him drops. And I was just like, is this fine? She's like, oh yeah, that's more than fine. We don't need much. And I was like, damn, I overdid it with the last one then.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Every time I've gotten drug tested or even done tests where they require my urine, the nurse always tells me, by the way, we only require up to here. She's like, please don't overfill it. It just makes my job harder. And she just walks away.
And normally I was waiting for her to tell me where to fill. She's like, oh yeah, just fill with what you can. I was like, cool, I will. And after I gave her the second sample, then they were able to give me the pain shot and the nausea shot, which, long story short, it did fuck all. It didn't do a damn thing. So yeah, they gave me the shot, and then 2 more hours of waiting, I hear an announcement. It's around 11 at this point, 11:30ish. I hear an announcement, and it was basically, attention all doctors, the server is down. And I was like, wait, what? And so then all the nurses come in and explain to all the patients in the waiting room, hey, the server is down, so all the tests are going to take a little while. Long story short, they basically told us there's going to be a long wait for us to proceed. So now I'm still sitting there. I'm watching this auction bullshit. I'm fucking waiting for this pain to go away. And then at this point, the nurse keeps coming in the same way every time. She's like, Pedro, oh my God, I am so sorry. And I'm like, bitch, if you're going to tell me I'm dying, tell me I'm dying. I'm tired of this already. But each time she's just like, oh, it's just going to be a few more moments. It'll be a few more minutes. I was like, cool, whatever. Don't worry about it. And then the nurse, the initial nurse, this is a whole separate nurse who checked my balls. She comes in to talk to me once the server's back up and running, like another hour later. She tells me, so she puts me down and she's like, do you ride motorcycles? And I was like, no. Oh, do you race? Do you drive a fast car? I was like, I drive a Camaro. And she's like, oh, I was just wondering if you're in a racing team. And I was like, what? And I could not make this up, guys. Like, I was just like, no, I just work at, I'm a web hoster, web advisor. And immediately I thought, okay, is this something like with my balls? And she's like, oh no, it's nothing. I was just wondering. I was like, okay, cool. That was random. And then she explains to me, so we believe you passed kidney stones. And I was
No
like,
way.
yeah. She was like, we found fragments of blood in there. However, we found no signs of testicular cancer, no signs of, your balls being out of place or twisted or looped. And she was just like, and we found fragments of what is a kidney stone. And I was like, oh, damn. All right. So what? And she was like, yeah, so pretty much we're going to give you antibiotics and ibuprofen for the pain. And that's it. And
And you should get healthier.
yeah, basically. And no, and right after she says all this, she's like, "Oh, and by the way," and she's like leaning in real close to me. She's like, "I've also made sure, just because you're young, I made sure that we give you an STD test too." I was like, "Cool, noted." And and she's like, "We'll give you the results in a week. It's been a while. I have yet to have results. I'm gonna go get tested."
Are you
And
worried about those results? You sound
no,
a
not
little
at all,
worried.
not at all.
And then he's like, "No, believe me, there's been nothing going on."
My hand is clean. Um, what's it called? Then right after, of course, they give me the paperwork and they're like, all right, you know, make sure that, you piss a lot and you drink a lot of water. I was like, will do. So for like the next couple of days, I drank nothing but pure water. And sure enough, the pain itself was dying down, but it was still really bad. So I didn't even go to work for like a couple days. Like it was that bad. Like it hurt. Sitting on a chair sucked. So I could only just lay down. But I'm fine now. No more signs of kidney stones. Um, and yeah, that's the end of my fucking ER story.
So
Jesus
don't stop
Christ.
drinking water just because you stopped having kidney stones.
No
You're-
shit, no shit,
yeah.
Joe. I don't want this ball pain anymore. I'm drinking water way more regularly now.
Yeah, this should
But
be a call to action. You should be drinking more water. Start putting less shit in your body so that your nuggets are perfect and they're perfectly fine.
my
I
twins,
don't
man,
know.
fucking
I don't
twins.
know how good of a story that was on a podcast where we think we get fucked up.
Oh yeah,
As I'm
I
drinking
I love that. Like for the past 20 minutes, it was all about Peter's balls. Like hell yeah, let's go. Fucking
It's-
ball sack central, buddy.
that's all. That's all I ever wanted out of this podcast.
Hey, you're not alone in the in like the ultrasound on your balls though. You're not the only one. I myself have gotten an ultrasound on my balls.
Did you get a towel up your ass?
No, I had not that. Thankfully, I mean, I was like much younger. This was maybe like a decade ago, but I was getting a physical done, and
What the
like,
fuck? That's a hardcore physical.
no, I know. Like that. This is what basically like made it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I just was getting a routine physical, and they're doing the thing where they like put the fingers on your ball. I mean, for men, where they like push it. I know. I don't want to. We obviously have
It
girls
basically is.
shit.
It basically is an ultrasound for men.
But no, hold on. I'm getting there. They do the thing where like they push on your balls a little bit, and then they have you turn your head and cough.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then they're like, okay, they couldn't feel like they couldn't find my left ball, and so
Nice.
they're like, do you only have one? And I'm like 11 or 10, and I'm like, I should have two. Like I don't know where the other one would have gone.
The other
And
one hasn't dropped yet.
pretty much. And I recall like going to like a specialist's office, and again, it was like that same situation where you were in, Peter, where it was a young woman and I'm a young kid, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, even though this was years ago, like I knew in the back of my mind, like, what the fuck? And I just remember sitting there, and I was just staring straight up, and yeah, you get the jelly on there, and they rub the little machine, and you can kind of view what's going on, and it ended up just being like, yeah, this kid's young, his balls haven't dropped yet, but one did more than the other. But yeah, like I've been there. It's weird. It's definitely
So
not comfortable.
I can imagine how terrifying that would be. Like as an adult, like where's my other nut? It just disappeared out of nowhere.
Jesus, man.
Oh yeah, as in like in your situation, like I could only imagine, especially with all that pain. Fuck that.
Oh
I
yeah. But
remember.
go ahead.
Sorry, I remember when I was younger. We want to go get my dogs neutered, and one of them he wasn't even like even 7 months old, so he was still really young, and we went to go get him neutered, and then the funny thing is, one of his balls was a ball, like it was properly by his penis, but the other ball was still like up in his like lower abdomen because it still hadn't fully transitioned downwards to the normal ball position. So when they cut this dude open, it's like they had one ball super low and then the other ball super high.
Yeah,
Isn't I
that's
mean,
pretty terrible.
yeah. I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal for one ball to be higher than the other.
Oh, that
Well,
is
no,
normal.
it is. Yeah, but no, he had like, for example, imagine one of your balls where they are now, and imagine another ball up in your belly button. Like that's not normal.
Oh my god, that's a fucking disease, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, but he was a young dog.
Man, fucking just like it makes
Balls, am I right?
yeah, yeah, like it makes me think of injuries and stuff and like as a kid, even though I've never broken a bone, just all the sprains and shit I would get from like playing soccer or I remember one major injury. It wasn't major, but one of the first times I got like a good hit as a kid. I was in kindergarten, and I'm sure we've all done it, where there's people on the swings, right? Like there's kids on the swings swinging,
Yeah.
and as kids, these swings are like fucking huge, so you're really getting some air. And I was one of those kids that would stand at the end of like the entirety of like the swing sets. So there's maybe 8 in front of me, like of kids swinging back and forth, and I would try to run through them. And I was running through them, and I mistimed one, and I looked to my right, and I just see like a fucking child like massively propelling to my face, and sure enough, whacks me in the jaw, and I blacked. I guess I supposedly like I had blacked out for about 10 seconds, in the sand at recess, and I
Just breathing in sand.
I just remember like quickly getting up and then just seeing a pool of blood, and I'm like, oh wow.
Oh,
And then
Nice.
That's not good.
yeah, I was just like, yeah, that's not it. And I just fucking went to the nurse's office. I just tore my cheek open on the inside. It was no big deal. Like it was
I
just like,
imagine.
yeah, it
Was
was just like,
was this at our elementary school?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do you remember the swings over by the fifth grade section with the tether balls? Was it those?
Yeah, it was those exactly.
Oh, dude, you got whacked.
Dude.
Yeah, I got fucking dude. I'm surprised I didn't get like a concussion or anything.
Yeah, dude.
Or,
Those. Do you remember the kids who would like do backflips up in the air?
yeah, they were huge.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, dude. They
People,
were,
yeah,
for the people who here, we Diego, Caesar, and I, we all went to the same elementary school, and um, in our district, it's fairly common for grades to be divided. Typically, it's like kinder, first, and second have their own playground, and then third, fourth, and fifth grade have a whole separate playground. And as you could expect, the fourth, fifth, fourth, fifth, and sixth playground is much bigger. And we had swings that I'd say were like 20 to 30 feet high, dude. They
yeah,
were tall.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, they were tall.
When
So
when you said backflip, it gave me a huge a cringy memory of when I broke my arm. This is not to take away from your story, but when I was around the fifth in like fifth or fourth grade, uh, Jesus Christ, there was this. I was really into like riding bikes, right? I was really into like riding bikes and going down the park and you know trying like pretty much just like BMXing,
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
but bitchier as a little kid. And there was this girl that lived a couple houses down, and like we were I keep on this is like fourth or fifth grade, and I was like, yo, I think she likes me, she knows I like her, I'm gonna say what's good, but before I do this, I gotta do a backflip in front of her on my bike, because in my head I was like, that's the only way you can get a girlfriend. And I was telling my friend, keep in mind my friend was grounded, and the only way that he was able to hang out with me was if we were at my house only, in my property. And so that happened. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, there's this little street before I hit her street. I'm going to practice right there and we're going to see what's good. And I'll come back to you with the news. He says, cool. So I go off and I started practicing. I started doing my little bunny hops. I started, bracing myself to really lunge backwards. I've never done a backflip in this like this in my life, but I've seen like Travis Pastrana do it with Nitro Circus and such. So I was like, oh, piece of cake.
Yo, Natural Circus was so badass.
It was fire, dude. It was straight fire. And sure enough, my first attempt, I'm basically like I'm looking directly straight up at the sky with my bike straight up at the sky, and I'm bracing myself to land on my back because I don't have enough projectile to turn myself around. And basically, my knuckles got caught on the curb,
Oh no!
and my wrist just smashed into the ground. And
Oh my
there's these two Mexican dudes, like older gentlemen, that were sitting like in the front yard where I basically just crashed, and they was like, "Levántate, estás bien."
Quiero coche.
Pretty much. And then I get up, and I look at my arm, and you basically the bone didn't pop out, but it scraped enough
Oh
to where you
no!
saw.
Wow, 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 wow.
And so they see that, and they're like, "Oh," and they just stand there. I was like,
In
normally this is
awe.
where you would call an ambulance or something, but it's cool, fam.
Yeah.
And I tried to pick up my bike, and that's how I knew I broke something, because I tried to pick up my bike, and it was excruciating. I was
Oh
like, "Oh,
no!
the adrenaline's going through me," so I'm just like, "That's not right." I literally
Are,
cannot pick up anything. My arm is not moving. My hand is not moving, and so I start dragging my bike back to my house.
I thought you were gonna say your arm. Like it's completely not functional. It's just flopping.
It's
Basically,
stretched out.
I'm holding it to my stomach, because I
Okay.
guess that's the only way it feels comfortable. It felt comfortable. Um, and I'm yelling at my friend like, "Come help me!" He's like, "I can't. My mom won't let me leave your house." I was like, "Dude, you're literally across the street. Just come help me." He's like, "I can't." I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm fucking walking my ass to the house then."
Pichi mamon.
Pretty much, right? And fucking, I just left my bike in the front yard, and I went inside and I told my mom. I was like, "Mom, look." And I told her, like, I want to go to the hospital. I think it's broken. And she's like, "Go take a shower first." And I was like, "God damn it."
So I went into the hospital looking like that.
Basically, right? She was just like, "You look dirty as hell."
Pinche mugroso.
She said in the sense of like, she basically said like, "You're fine. Go take a shower." And I was like, "Cool." And then my dad bursts in, like in the shower with my ass naked and everything. And he's like yelling at my mom like, "His arm is broken. Look at it." And of course, there's like bone there.
Oh
No
my
bleeding.
god!
No bleeding, surprisingly, but there's like a white, like it's clearly white and
Yeah, I mean
hard.
the knuckle is just mainly skin. It's like there's not a lot of blood vessels there, so not a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, this part is like on the wrist, like on the very bone of your wrist. Like if you go to your pinky and you go down,
Outer or inner?
outer.
Outer. Yeah, that's still a bony part. But if
Mm.
we're talking about inner, you should have bled.
Yes, I should have bled out, but no, it was outer. So it was fine. But yeah, at this point, he's like, "Yeah, I'm taking you to the hospital. Just get changed, because I'm already clean at this point." And yeah, I went to the hospital, and I got my arm stitched up, got it in a cast and everything. And the next day, I asked her out, and she became my girlfriend, my first girlfriend.
Hey, sick.
See,
Sometimes it just takes a little self-sacrifice to impress a woman.
maybe it was pity, but
Maybe it was pity. Fuck.
Wait a minute. So she ended up seeing you break your own arm?
no, this was before I went to her street.
He was
The day,
practicing for her, dude.
Oh my
the day
goodness!
before,
She didn't even see it. Oh my goodness!
she didn't see it, but I basically told her friend, because her friend was the only one with a MySpace account.
Oh yeah.
So
There
I
you
told
go.
her friend, and I was like, "Hey, can you tell her that I was gonna go to her house today, but I broke my arm?" And she's like, "For sure." And then the next day at school, everything was sorted. Just like on a Sunday.
Oh my goodness! That's
Yeah,
terrible.
MySpace.
MySpace,
that was
dude.
a while back. That was what,
That's
like
a minute,
07,
bro.
08?
Yeah.
Yeah, around that
Fuck,
time.
we're old now.
Yeah,
I feel
I
old.
I remember based off what Pedro was saying because of bone and everything. It reminds me of the first time, or at least the first time I actually have a recollection of me getting getting injured. And this is the reason why I say that when Pedro was saying that it was on the outer wrist that he didn't bleed, because I know that those bony parts don't bleed because of the way that I got hurt. Um,
Oh,
I This is what, like 2006, because my second youngest brother, he was only like 2 or 1, very very young, and we were trying to go to Lake Pleasant. We lived at a house right around 55th Ave and Indian School. You guys know the Ranch Market right there?
yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I lived just, I'd say, a minute's walk behind the Ranch Market, and so my parents rented this house from the landlord, but my mom actually got to know her because they're coworkers at the time. And so they're like, hey, you know what? We're actually trying to move out into a bigger house. We'll rent this house to you. And so that's how we got to know them and everything. We actually went to like a lot of parties with them. We were good friends. And so I guess this was a Sunday. We wanted to go to Lake Pleasant, but no party has gone to Lake Pleasant yet. See, my parents are I'm the oldest of their children, so if I didn't experience it, then it's the first time whenever I do experience it. So um, it they didn't know where Lake Pleasant was. This is of an era before even the Motorola Razor. So it's like things are very primitive, and the other guys, they're a very similar family. So they only had a son about the age of mine, so they had never gone to Lake Pleasant. Lake Pleasant, it's not even an hour drive from Phoenix. It's just like 20 minutes more north of like Paradise Valley, I'd say on I-17. But it took us like 3 minutes to get there. Or sorry, 3 hours. Uh, we drove up there, got to Anthem, and we're like, no, we're too far north. And so we drove south again, like 30 minutes. And we were like around Scottsdale, and we're like, no, no, we went too south. And it was just like a non-stop. We're not here, we're too north, we're too south. Like I said, we took 3 hours, excruciating hours to get to Lake Pleasant, which should only take like 1 hour.
Oh
Finally,
lord.
we got back to Anthem, and you guys on the drive to Flagstaff or Sonoma, you guys see that there's some malls in Anthem uh,
Right.
on the way up. Yeah, so we stopped there. My parents asked somebody where Lake Pleasant was, and they're like, "Oh yeah, drive 5 minutes south, and there's a street I don't know off the top of my head. Turn right, and then just keep going, and it's gonna you'll drive into the lake and everything. Great, that's all we needed. We go there, get to the lake, and we. You guys been to Lake Pleasant?
Yeah, I've been there.
I have not. I have not.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
well,
not.
well yeah, a lot of the more shallow areas are very packed, and so it's very hard to find a spot, especially because we had a little Chevy car. So not to mention we were only a four member family, so we didn't need a big car. We struggled to get up over the hills. Finally, we get there. We find a spot that's somewhat adequate. And my dumbass has never been near a body of water except for when I went to the beaches in California when my family lived there from 2000 to 2002. But I don't remember being near big pools of water. Right, the only bodies of water that I've been to are regulated pools in my apartments, or the puddles outside of my house when it rains. So I think it's appropriate to cannonball inside a shallow, rocky
Oh no.
lake.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, like I tell you, I was what, 6 at the time. I didn't understand this. I saw water and it was cannonball. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's make a splash. I don't even think the water was up to like my knees yet, where I decided to run, jump knees first into what are just the stoniest and rockiest part of the water bank.
No.
Knees knees are absolutely shredded. You can see bone on my left knee, but the thing is, it's mostly like fatty tissue. I didn't bleed, but it was just white fatty tissue. And immediately, I think my mom, she saw me run and jump, and she knew immediately what I was gonna do.
She's like,
She
my
she
boy just
knew
committed
she
suicide.
knew yeah she knew I was gonna cannonball in there, and I did, and I remember hearing it. I don't know how, but she's like, no, and it's like it's a flashback moment where it's like she says that, and now my knees are in the water. But the funny thing is, I didn't feel immediate pain. I stood up, and I was fine. But then 3 seconds later, I get this sharp pain because I think what happened was because it happened underwater, I didn't feel it. But as soon as I exposed my knee and the air hit it, it burned like hell. And
Yeah.
so I looked like a flamingo, dude. I was standing up on my right leg and I tucked in my right knee, and I couldn't walk. My dad had to go pick me up. He basically just opened the car door, fucking threw me in there. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" He's like, "Do you realize how long it took us to get here for you to do this within 5 minutes of being here?" So yeah, I got scolded at, and that's the way parents, or at least young Mexican parents, like to educate their children. It's just by yelling at them, which yes, it was my fault, but I think at that point I just needed treatment. That's not to say they didn't give me treatment. First they had to scold me, and then they're like, "All right, let me see your fucking knee. What's wrong with it?" Luckily, there was some people from Michoacan next to us, so they got pretty well along with my parents, and my parents weren't expecting any injuries, so we didn't have a first aid kit. But these people, I guess they had like older sons who were also dumb as shit like I am. So they had prepared like Neosporin and everything. They were like the whitest Mexican family, should I say? Like they were overly prepared. They're like, "Oh my god, baby, come here. Let me put this Neosporin on you." But they're straight up Mexican. So they had gauze. They had like the big,
All name brand.
yeah, like a big X pattern band aid and everything. So they treated my knee. They actually had a van, and they removed the seats for me to lay down in their van.
It's pretty nice
So
of them.
Damn.
yeah, it was pretty nice of them. But like my parents were like, "Yo, fucking child, like, do you realize how long it took us?" And I asked I this was a long time ago, but one day I asked my mom. I was like, "Whatever happened there?" It's just like, "Yeah, we didn't enjoy it because we were worried about your knee. Like we didn't know if you had like shattered your knee or anything because you just went knees first into the stoniest fucking part of the lake."
Imagine going to Disney just to get kicked out of Disney the second you walk in.
Exactly. It's exactly that. That's exactly what happened. It's you struggle to get to Disney and then park. Do you guys remember when we had to go to Disney back in when was it
17.
2017?
Yeah.
2017.
We had to walk, and there was a lot. And imagine after all of that, or on the way back, to just say, "Oh yeah, the park is closed," and you're like, "No, fuck that." That's essentially what I did to my parents.
You
But I
cost.
was
Dude, I
I
think
was
as
six.
a
I was six. Okay.
if I was a parent and my kid did some stupid shit like that, I'd be like, dude, what was going on? What was going through your head, man? Like, tell me
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the end result
Walk me
was
through
for
this.
this. Well, yeah, walk me through this, big man. Like, what was going on? Like, okay, you
Now,
were gonna go do this. What were you expecting to
You
happen?
see, Caesar, and I think that's a bad habit that I think my parents let me have because it wasn't until recently that I was able to remaster some VHS tapes that my parents had of when we were. I was born in Chicago, so they have some tapes of when we were in Chicago when I was a baby, and a little bit more when I was more of a toddler in LA. And they have videos of when we're at Santa Monica, Venice, and even at Long Beach. And you could see my little 1 to 2 year old ass in Pampers running up to the water. And when I would jump in the water, I'd go knees first into it. But because it's sand, there's nothing's gonna happen to my knee. So I think it was like instinct for me to see water, knees first, water, knees first. But there was rocks before there was water, so I
oddly
still
enough,
I still have the scar on my knee. It looks like a U.
now that you mention that, like you go knees first, I always go ass first for some reason.
Yeah, you would crack your tailbone. You would be
Yeah,
paralyzed.
basically.
Jesus,
That's how you
paralyzed
get the
right
most
there.
splash, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but
I've
shout out to that
never.
family next
Very
to us,
fun.
dude. They were like, I obviously you could tell when parents have been parents for a while because of the way that they react to stressful situations. My parents were arguably new parents, and they had their second child, so you know it was stressful times for them, and for me to do that, it's like, okay, you are the oldest. We don't expect this shit from you. We only want to we only expect trouble from the baby, not you. It's like, what the fuck?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but that's as far as I can go back to say when I was injured. My parents tell me stories of when I got hurt when I was like 2, because it was my birthday and they were singing happy birthday to me. So I jumped off. You know when they're babies, they like to like stand them up on the table and everything, or sit
Yeah.
on the table. I jumped off the table. I ran away. I ran
You
like
fucking savage.
yeah. I ran away. I ran to the next door, but uh there was this wall that I tried to get around, but I ran like a nose first into it. And so when you see pictures of me when I'm like 2, 3, maybe even 4, I have this little scar right where my unibrow would be. And I guess as I got older, it just cleared out. But that's where I fucking just headbutted the shit out of that wall. But that's from
Fuck.
second. That's from like my parents telling me that. I don't remember that. But where I do remember is me fucking just going cannonball in at Lake Pleasant.
Good lord, yeah, injury. Yeah, those. It's hilarious how many injuries you get into as a kid, and you look
Oh,
down and
I have so many injuries to talk
Same, dude.
about.
Yeah,
Same.
you
oh
guys
yeah,
sound like you guys are some fucking pinches morros desmadrosos when you guys were tiny. And I'm like, not that I wasn't, I was, but I didn't get as I guess injured as you guys did. I feel like it's the opposite. Now I'm getting injured as the older I get.
the older
Yeah.
we get, it's all,
Yeah,
I
Brittle.
it's all internal.
Yeah, I think the main thing was because I was the oldest. I looked up a lot to the older kids, and they were doing
Mm.
bad shit. So I try to act the part too. And even then, as a kid, and even today, I still think I'm not carefree, but I could take risks. And so I think when I was a kid, I would just say literally like YOLO, fuck it. Now I would do things, and uh, you learn from when you get hurt. So it's like today, would I jump knees first? Would I have realized that that's not the proper way to jump into lakes? Had that not happened, maybe not. But
Find out next time.
yeah,
On the
that's
next
how
episode
that's
of
how we
Dragon
learn.
Ball Z. No, okay.
Are you supposed to aim loaded firearms at your hand? Maybe not.
Bro,
But I'm still
But
gonna
that's
do backflips in front of chicks. What the
but
fuck?
that's a story for another time.
I
Long
I
story
honestly
short,
thought
no, you don't fire guns at your hand. They will go inside your hand.
when you started explaining your story, Joel, I thought you were gonna start with that, and I was like, "Oh, I know where this is going," and I'm like, "Oh, wait, I don't know where this is going."
No, yeah, but that will come.
Joel shot himself in the hand.
Yeah, I shot myself
Jesus
in the hand, everybody. You know what,
Yeah,
dude?
With
You
the
know what should
BB
be.
gun, don't leave it at that. With the BB gun,
nah, you gotta.
No, you
You
fucking
could have
ruined
left
it.
him. Come on, Diego.
Yeah, I remember, like at school when people would see me, they were like, "Hey, Joel, what happened? Why is your hand in a cast?" And uh, at school, I actually ride an electric skateboard, so everybody assumed that I had fallen off the skateboard, and they weren't expecting the response. Oh yeah, I shot myself. They were like, "What? What the fuck? What happened?"
I wanted to
well,
Yeah,
feel the pain.
we will get back to. We'll definitely get to another podcast where we'll tell more stories of our childhood injuries. But I think that'll wrap it up there. It's just a little over an hour.
Jesus Christ! I finished so
awesome.
much beer I shouldn't have drank.
Well, if you guys have gotten this far and listening to our somewhat drunk asses, we would appreciate it if you go and look at our Instagram at Chela Time Podcast. Again,
Hey,
thank you all for listening, and that is all from me. Good night, everybody.